Howdy, folks. Welcome to the Revenge of the Show. This is a drive-out movie review. And I want to introduce you. Introduce yourself.
So my name is Brendan, buddy of Bruce's, and excited to talk a little bit about Dune 2.
Yeah, I got to see it with a really good crowd, I thought. A crowd of people that really want to see this Dune movie. And, you know, I love the first Dune movie. Did you love the first Dune movie?
I did. I think that, like any of these sequels, you have to wait a while for the second one.
Yeah.
I was telling Bruce that, before I, came here, I watched like the last 45 minutes of the first one just to get myself kind of in the mood. But yeah, no, it was good. I thought it was, they didn't do too much of a recap.
No.
Right? They just went kind of right into it.
No,
So,
you're going to be completely lost if you didn't see the first movie. It's an epic book. It's an epic story, and you have to see the first movie, right?
Yeah. And I think it just does a good service to the people that have waited for it, and it's not like spoon feeding you a bit when it comes to that. But I thought it, we'll talk more about the movie, but I think that it was good. To your point, a lot of the people there were very into it, right? It was one of the times I've been to a movie theater where it was just almost like dead quiet.
Yeah.
Just very much, solely focused. And I mean, that's what you get, right, when you go to an early screening.
Yeah.
So
very, very focused. Probably the most focused I've ever seen an audience since a Star Wars movie or something.
yeah.
I don't know how you feel about the David Lynch version, but I still love it. This one has real special effects, and I did a review of this newer first Dune movie, and it got flagged by YouTube because I used some stills from both David Lynch and this one. So I'd love to show some stuff from it, but I can't. If anybody out there in the YouTube land knows how I could get by without getting flagged for that kind of shit, let me know. But anyway, I love the David Lynch version. The special effects look bad back then, but this movie, you can't be disappointed by the special effects.
No, not at all. And I think that there are some instances where you just felt like, wow, I'm watching something different, right? I've never seen this before in any sci-fi movie, right? Where, especially towards some of the, more heightened action scenes, kind of like the breathing tubes, right? Where it's like, I don't know what I'm seeing, and then when it comes to fruition, I'm like, oh wow, like this is.
It gets really into depth on so many more levels than the David Lynch version or anything for that matter. It really gets into the nitty-gritty of the novel. It's something else. Some people might be bored by it though. Like people that aren't into this stuff, do you think they enjoy the movie? I mean, would your wife enjoy this movie?
Probably not. but I would say that it's, if we're going into the second part of Dune and you hadn't seen the first one, it's almost like, why are you going to see this?
Oh, yeah.
But it's a very, very well-made movie where even if you weren't a fan of sci-fi, if you weren't even, tried and true story of revenge, of loyalty, of love in a lot of aspects, but
religion
very much. I think this one really played on the religion aspect where what like the true believers and the non-believers, and I think if you were not a fan, I don't think it would be that boring, right? I think for almost a 3-hour movie as a part 2, I wanted to see what happened next, right? I wasn't sitting there like, oh, okay, like this is kind of droning, right?
And the actors there wasn't a bad acting moment in the movie. This is a 190-minute movie, by the way, folks, and a $167 million movie that it cost. But it didn't seem that long to me. What did you think of the ending?
From an ending perspective, I mean, I think you think differently. They definitely want to see how far they can go with this franchise. Full transparency, I did not see the David Lynch version. Probably something that I will do now just to see what the difference is. I think that they may gear it towards more of a television series.
Now, if people aren't familiar with the director, you want to say his name?
Villeneuve?
Villeneuve. I'm bad at these bad names. Can you straighten that up?
Yeah.
So he directed Blade Runner 2049 and Arrival, and I really like both those, especially Arrival. I like a lot. And the writer was John Jon. How do you say that name?
We gotta see her. Sprints,
yeah. So he, the writer, I think he had to use some other people to write this movie because a lot of the dialogue is made up dialogue, which is, you see, what's the word I'm looking for when you got writing underneath the screen? It's like you're watching
subtitles
throughout a great amount of this movie, but the dialogue, it sounds realistic. I mean, it sounds like something that it didn't sound phony,
No, it was very, it was pointed.
No, so we saw this at live IMAX, and it looked pretty good. It's a 4K projector. I don't think it's the dual 4K projector, but it looked good. And what they did with this movie, which is really weird, is they transferred it to 65 millimeter or 70 millimeter, and you could see it at certain theaters around the country, real IMAX theaters on an IMAX film format, like the museum in Indiana's doing that, because the director felt that the look of the film was better. So they didn't shoot it with film, but then they transferred it to film. It's kind of an interesting thing that they did, but it's the editor.
How long would that take to? So
that's a big extra step to that's really going out of your way to it. If you shot it on film, it would cost a lot more to do. So I guess it works in some way, shape, or form. But I thought it's pretty interesting that they did that. But if you can, you got to say, no matter what, you have to see this movie on a big screen.
Yeah.
If you're into any of this stuff at all, you have to see it on a big screen.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And it's just it's just engrossing.
Yeah.
There's no you're not looking at another screen. You're not there's nothing else there except for this movie. And especially I do think this type of movie too, whether you go see it early, you see it midway through, you're going to get a good crowd.
Yeah, that was I kind of made a bet with them, will the audience clap at the end of the movie? And there was no clap. But I talked to a lot of people after the show. I didn't find one person, I probably talked to about 12 people. And I didn't find one person in that showing that did not like this movie. They all thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And I just want to get back to one thing. This is an Arri Alexa 65, so that's a large format camera. You can't buy one of those. You could only rent them. And so if you want to buy one, you're out of luck. And then you can see it on, what do they call it? They call it the true theaters with the laser projector that you could see it in a bigger format is called an IMAX GT laser, which is, I couldn't find a theater that plays it. I imagine you can, but I don't know. Anyway, the writer I think wrote Prometheus and some other movie too. Prometheus I think is a really good alien movie. But
Yeah, a lot of people are weird about the alien movies.
Yeah.
I liked all of them, and
I do not like all of them, but
yeah, I mean Covenant.
yeah. But all in all, if you had to give this out of 5 stars, 5 stars being this was a great movie, and I'm going to buy it, when it comes out and all that stuff on DVD or Blu-ray, whatever you want, to 1 being that was not very good, what would you give it?
1 is just not very good. One has to be the worst movie that you've ever seen.
Pretty much.
Yeah. I would give it a solid 4.5. I would say that, I mean, it's not a masterpiece by any means, but for me, what I want to do is I want to watch it almost in totality, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot to ask any person to watch, 6 hours of anything, but you kind of look at like the Lord of the Rings and other type of, I mean, it's not a trilogy yet,
Right.
but I loved it. I mean, I loved the movie. I'd say that a solid 4.5 out of 5.
Yeah, I would say there's definitely a 4.5 in it for me too. I'm definitely, I'll buy this trilogy when it comes out.
What doesn't make it a 5 is, and this is maybe true to the fact that it's very in tune with the book, is it's hard to describe, but there wasn't many like crazy twists.
Yeah.
Right, and I mean, maybe that's just me just
there was
being
one.
spoiled.
There is one big twist.
Yeah.
It's a pretty big twist.
Yeah, about the Harkonnen, yeah.
But it's like the earlier we were talking. It's like there's some humor in this movie to where there's not any humor in the other one.
Yeah, surprisingly, a lot in the first half of the movie.
But it gets brutal at times.
Yeah, so I was telling Bruce that, there were some instances where, you kind of compare certain sci-fi movies and, the lexicon of that. And, there were certain scenes, right, where there's, all of the villains kind of, quote unquote, in the room. And you kind of think I thought of like, the Darth Vader scene of like the throat choke.
Yeah.
But it's like, it just took this up like 3 more levels of just like bashing. So no, I thought it was, to your point, a lot more. It was an R-rated, definitely sci-fi movie, but no, I think it was warranted in those scenes to make the brutality known of what our protagonist was, up against.
Yeah. But if you're in it to see this movie and hear one character say, "I will kill him, I will kill him," and then another line where there's a person says, "He is this rock cat," or however you say it, you're not going to get it in this movie. That's my only spoiler that I'm going to give you for this movie. Otherwise, I think it's a brilliant movie, and try to see it if at all possible. And,
definitely recommended.
And so I think that's going to be it. I'm going to drive him home now. Should I make a left over here?
No.